During the night, the Americans launched their attack from a carrier battle group in the Red Sea. Like Britain, they'd warned the Houthis that this was coming if they didn't stop hitting shipping. The airstrikes are intended to show that Western red lines won't turn pink under pressure. But if anything, the Houthis will be even more determined to carry on. The airstrikes, this was the RAF raid, are only partly about freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. The reality is that they're also directly linked to events in Gaza and represent an escalation in the crisis that is gripping the Middle East. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News.
So guys, right there in that video you saw the American and the UK have a joint military strike in Yemen, which is the base for the Houthi rebels that's attacking the cargo ships in the Red Sea. But they're only attacking Israeli-bound ships. What happened with Israel? So with this bombing of Yemen, there was a response by the Houthi rebels. Listen to what the military spokesperson for Yemen said. And also, I'm going to show another video with what the citizens of the country did after the bombing by the American and the UK.
Yahya Saree, a Houthi military spokesman, said the Americans and British were responsible for criminal aggression, which would be answered with attacks on all hostile targets on land and sea. In Sana'a, Yemen's capital, a huge rally against the airstrikes and in support of Palestinians filled the city's broadest boulevard. It was organised. The Houthis do not allow unauthorised protests. But without question, millions in Yemen and across the Arab world are appalled by Israel's conduct of the Gaza war.
So there, guys, the Houthi military leader, hear what he said? Well, it's not leader, spokesperson. All this does is making them more resilient. They're going to now attack all American, UK, Western container shipping, oil tankers and all this, including Israeli. And whenever you see the entire citizens of a country come together, that only emboldens what they was trying to prevent. Perfect example. Remember the Americans, they invaded Iraq for over 10, 11 years. They had a war there. And they did the same thing, like the bombing and indiscriminately of different areas. And what happened? They pushed them back for a while, but what? These people have patience. They're not like Westerners. They don't worry about Instagram and Facebook, and they don't deal with social media like that. They are very patient people, loyal people. So as soon as the Americans leave Iraq and Afghanistan, what happened? They came right back and took over, and the whole thing starts all over again. So that 10 years was a waste of life, waste of money, waste of time. Now they did the same thing in Yemen, attacking Yemen. So what? They just gave the Houthi rebels leeway for the next 2-3 years to function without doing anything for the citizens. Because what? The entire citizens is behind them now. So what? Even if you sanction Yemen and place embargoes on them, it would not affect them, because what? The citizens are behind them 100% because of what? Of the bombing that the American and the UK did. If you notice, this is a coalition with around 20 nations, and only 2 nations take part in the bombing because all the other nations didn't want to be targeted by these Houthi rebels. They mean the container shipments, like the Italians, the Australians, all the other ones, the Germans, even France. They didn't take part in it. Some of them even went as far as saying they shouldn't have done that attack. Because, and also, in my opinion, I think what the Americans are trying to do, they are trying to take away the people's eyes and concentration from from the Israel-Gaza conflict and turn it and focus them on this, because you hardly hear of the conflict anymore because of the indiscriminate bombing that the Israelis are doing in Gaza and to the Palestinians. Regardless of what they did first, this just rhetoric that they are wiping them out of the face of the earth and treating them like less than, like what they did in Africa with the apartheid government that they did in South Africa. So, my point is, the Houthi rebels' only demand is stop the bombing in Yemen, in Gaza. Stop taking the lives of the Palestinian people. All the Americans have to do is speak to the Israelis, because the reason why Israel is doing this is because they're backed by America. All they have to do is step back and say, listen to me, we need to have a ceasefire, and all this Red Sea thing would stop, come to call. That's what the Houthi rebels want. Stop this total annihilation rampage that the Israelis are on. But America can stop this, because that's what they said. If they stop this, we stop this. But instead of doing that, America went and literally attacked the country, dropping bombs on them. That's only going to embolden them, and they already promise they are going to retaliate with drones and missiles and all that. But take a look at this other video of a reporter in Yemen. They was like 5 miles away from where the bombing was. But take a listen to what he's saying.
So here in the Yemeni capital, where the protest just finished, this was a protest that took place in the 70 square of the Yemeni capital, just about 5 miles away from where the attacks took place last night. The U.S. and the British-led assault on Yemeni installations, or military installations, as the U.S. claims. Of course, the Houthis, Ansarullah, they've stated today that none of their military installations were damaged, and all that was hit was empty fields and empty facilities that did not possess any weapons whatsoever. The Houthi officials, as they mentioned today in the protest, they are going to continue to block and prevent Israeli-linked ships from crossing Bab el-Mandeb, from crossing the Red Sea, despite the U.S. attacks. And even if the U.S. and the British government decide to escalate their attacks here on Yemen, that's not going to prevent the military operations in the Red Sea, which are directed to target Israeli-linked ships, according to the Ansarullah military spokesperson. And they've also vowed revenge for the attacks that occurred last night. The Houthi officials, they mentioned that all U.S. and British targets in the Red Sea will be targeted. And they will most likely be targeted with drones and ballistic missiles, according to the Ansarullah military spokesperson.
So in that report, they're saying all those bombs that they dropped on Yemen did not hit anything essential. It's just empty buildings, wasteland. No one get hurt. None of the weapons were damaged. So essentially, and also there is also talks where the Americans are angry at the UK government for saying, giving them forewarning that they're going to attack. So maybe that's what they get to clean out. Clean out where the weapons was, where they attacked, so they didn't get anyone to get hurt. And so even when in the attack with the Americans and the UK, there still wasn't cohesive, collaboration was going on. They still wasn't collaborating properly. So nothing was done to deter these people. All it does is embolden them, and they promise retaliation. So this is what the Americans do. They start these unnecessary wars, cause them to have more people who dislike them and who will become anti-American. This is a move that's going to make more people become anti, because the Muslim world is watching this. And they have their reasons why they can't get involved. Russia going to get involved, possibly. Iran going to get involved. Is already involved. But Russia, I hear, send over some missiles. I don't know how it's reported. I don't know. I don't have concrete facts on this. So I'm just saying, allegedly, they're going to send more weapons to the Houthis. So it's possible, because the Russian, is anti-America. So we're going to see how this pans out. But the more attack the Americans do, the more resilient and the more attacks they will promise. As I said, these people are very, very patient. They're loyal to their cause, and they will sacrifice as much people who they need to get their point across, as we have seen over decades of these wars. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Boom.